Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the League Zero Racing Series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League. Today we find ourselves at the virtual Hockenheim Ring, getting ready for the feature event. As always, I'm your host, James East, bringing the action 1080p, 60 frames a second, as the drivers making their way out onto the grid. Starting on pole, Finley Fitzsimmons. Micah Barnett starts second. Kevin Burrows starting third. Jake Duckwall starts fourth. Raymond Aguilar starting fifth. Chase Small starting 6th. Michael Fairchild starts 7th. Nick Beaver starting 8th. Jack Mundy starting 9th. Nick Peterson starting 10th. Scott Cummins starting 11th. Jared Ziegler starting 12th. Cycling it back to Antonio Bianchi starting 13th. Gareth McAllister, the world-famous Australian, starting 14th. Peter Rettinger starting 15th. Norman King 16th in the grid. John Kasai starts 17th. Xavier Zanave starting 18th. Felipe Garcia starting 19th. Levi Opitz starting 20th. Ricardo Espino starts 21st. Danilo Sparapani starting 22nd. And that will round out the grid here today. As always, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on, as drivers get lined up and ready to go here. Everybody getting ready? Trying to see who we may be waiting on here. Looks like everybody able to make the grid. And we wait for the lights to come on here at Hockenheim Ring. We got Jack Mundy cheering, tuning in. It's his birthday as he's out on track. We got Josh Law. That might be the right way to say that. And away we go at Hockenheim Ring. Fitzsimmons with a great launch. Aguilar picks up 2 spots early on, moves up into 3rd as the field stacks up. Now we're doing 26 laps or 45 minutes, whatever comes first here. We've got Fort Wayne, Indiana, well represented. We go a little bit further back in the pack. It is an absolute meat grinder. As up front, it looks like we've got a battle for the lead. Micah Barnett, Finley Fitzsimmons side by side. Barnett, the left side of your track. Now the right side. Fitzsimmons, the number 69 machine, looks to the inside line here to try and hold onto the lead. And things are going to get exciting behind him as the field stacks up. And it's going to be a lot of drivers barreling it in. Chase Small, Jack Mundy, Nick Beaver, Antonio Bianchi, Nick Peterson, Scott Cummins, Peter Rettinger, John Kasai, Xavier Zanave, Felipe Garcia. Everybody's stacking it up here. And poor Peterson has a rough race. He takes a tow back to pit road. He's going to retire. Well, let's take a replay, see what happened to Chase Small, the number 5 machine. Oh, somebody came barreling it in too hard on the brakes. And the field just goes plowing in here. Everybody checking up, looking for an escape route and not finding it. That's going to put Fitzsimmons as your race leader with a comfortable 1-second gap, about 9/10 gap over Micah Barnett. Aguilar again has moved up to 3rd. John Kasai has problems. The number 3 machine with an off-track excursion. Antonio Bianchi coming down pit road. Problems all across the track. That's Danilo Sparapani. Looks to have a wadded up machine here. Oh, catches the wheel. Almost getting airborne, and the side of that number 9 machine absolutely exploding. So that will be yet another driver taking a tow back to pit road now for the League Zero Series. If you tow in the middle of the race, you are done and out of the evening, unable to rejoin the track. Another good battle we have. It looks like that's going to be Chase Small, Norman King duking it out for the 13th place spot. Just ahead is Xavier Zanave, the number 12 machine. King retakes the position from Small. Looks like we also have a battle for second shaping up. That's Micah Barnett, the number 59 machine. He's getting chased by Raymond Aguilar, the 72. Aguilar known for his aggressiveness through traffic to try and facilitate those passes and do so quickly. As everybody going off track here. Aguilar looking for a way around Barnett. This is allowing Fitzsimmons to extend his gap over to 1.1 seconds above the 59 machine. Fitzsimmons had the fastest lap that time by a 132.8. And generally for these drivers, they only get faster as the run progresses. There goes Aguilar looking up to the inside line. I can't tell if that was Aguilar or Barnett. May have had a little bit of smoke, a micro lockup happening. Barnett defending the inside line. This is slowing down the pace slightly and allowing Kevin Burrows, Jake Duckwall, Michael Fairchild running 4th, 5th, and 6th to close the gap into what is a very heated battle for second now between Barnett and Aguilar. Now Fitzsimmons, your race leader, picked up the win at the sprint race just last week. He qualified on pole for the feature, but immediately threw it away on the first lap, so he's been a little bit apprehensive to maybe put down too much effort, not wanting to drive over his head. And right now it seems to be going well for the young British driver. Fitzsimmons with another fastest lap of the race, a 132.19. I'm thinking we may see a 131 out of these drivers depending on how things go. Aguilar's lost just a little bit of time there behind Micah Barnett. Oh, and it looks like Barnett has a big moment under braking. That's going to allow Aguilar to take over the second place spot. Here comes Kevin Burrows trying to catch the draft of the 59, Micah Barnett, and see if he can work his way up onto a podium. I don't think Barnett's going to try and... Oh, I was going to say Barnett's going to focus on Aguilar, but he's going to have his hands full right behind. As further back in the field, Xavier Zanave has a crash and an off-track excursion. Let's take a quick look, see what happened to that number 12 machine. Seems like he's limping around a wounded car here. Yeah, Zanave has something terribly wrong with that machine. And it looks like Burrows must have had a moment with the number 80 machine, because now it's going to be Jake Duckwall. Has worked his way up into 4th. Fairchild moves up to 5th. Burrows falls back to 6th. Wonder if maybe Burrows got a slowdown penalty to that number 80 machine, because this is giving Micah Barnett now in 3rd. Still in 3rd, I should more aptly say, a massive 2.3 second advantage over the drivers behind him. So we're watching Michael Fairchild, Kevin Burrows battling for the 5th place spot. Burrows with a big move up the inside line. Looks like he's going to put Fairchild squarely behind him. We got Laura Kasai joining us in the spectator area. Kasai currently 9th out on track. Now, we talked to John Kasai before tonight's main event, and this is a track he was a little surprised at the lack of pace he had slowed down rapidly. We got a big crash going on. Looks like Norman King, Jack Mundy involved in that. Let's see what happened to the number 28 machine. Oh, King just loops it out. Mundy nowhere to go. Just gives a little bit of a touch to that 28. And hopefully the birthday boy, Jack Mundy, still has a relatively clean car to hold on to. We're watching Raymond Aguilar in second, 1.9 seconds back from Fitzsimmons. Micah Barnett right behind him. has been using all the track limits he possibly can. And speaking of battles for ninth, that was Kasai's position, but it looks like McAllister, the Australian, in number 25, takes over the 9th place spot, edges back Kasai to 10th. What is going on here? Both Aguilar and Barnett showed off track. Scott Cummins just had a crash. He's going to fall back to 8th. As Aguilar and Barnett absolutely cooking it. Both drivers having a little bit of micro lockups, heavy on the brakes, trying to get these machines slowed down. This is just giving more and more of an advantage to Fitzsimmons out front. You can see him just at the end of the straight. That's what 2-second gap looks like. Fitzsimmons getting even closer to a 131, clicks off a 132.08. Aguilar has his fastest lap, a 132.21, so the pace getting a little bit quicker for all drivers out there. And right now the field fairly stretched out except for Aguilar and Barnett running 2nd and 3rd. Fitzsimmons still holding that 2-second advantage. Now I do wonder, will Aguilar and Barnett try and link up, draft off each other, and see if they can leapfrog their way up to Fitzsimmons? Because right now it looks like they're both very intent on holding on, or in the case of Aguilar, holding on that 2nd place spot, as Barnett still wants to charge up towards the front. Aguilar's up 3 positions, Barnett down 1 so far. And we've got another battle out on track. John Kasai trying to get around Scott Cummins for the 8th place spot. Cummins the all-weight 55. Kasai the red, white, and yellow DHL back number 3. Right behind Kasai is Gareth McAllister, just inside the top 10. Now we believe the fuel window is going to open on lap 13 for these drivers. As Kasai tries to work around the 55 of Cummins to take over the 8th place spot. Cummins with a big lockup. Kasai works the inside line, but has to check up a little bit too much. Cummins able to hold on to it. Here comes Kasai, wheel to wheel with Cummins. Cummins has a little bit better drive out of the corner. And Kasai will take over the 8th place spot. As the field's starting to bunch up here from 8th to about 13th place, you've got Kasai, Cummins, McAllister, Rettinger, Small, Beaver, all here together. Up front, it's still Finley Fitzsimmons, 1.8 seconds ahead of 2nd place Raymond Aguilar. And now it looks like it's going to be McAllister, the number 25 machine, putting the pressure on Cummins. Now these top 12 positions are extremely important because after this feature event, we'll have a very brief intermission. Then we will invert the top 12 for our final sprint race of the night. Half the laps, twice the action out of these drivers. And speaking of action, look at this battle going on. It's Rettinger, Beaver, Small, all chasing right behind McAllister, Cummins, and Rettinger. All these drivers know just how important that top 12 is, scoring some points and getting that optimal position for the sprint race. It's a lot easier to hold on to a spot when you start off up front instead of having to slowly work your way up. And oh, look at that. That was Cummins and Redinger side by side. Both drivers locking up the brakes in the battle for 10th. Redinger tucks in behind the 55 machine. Beaver and Small still trying to get their nose up, but Cummins has a bit of a bobble. Ooh, swipes the nose of Redinger. Oh, and we're going 3 wide here at Hockenheimring. You don't see that often, or at least where it ends well for the drivers. Small now up in 11th spot. Redinger still fighting for 12th. Cummins, though, falling back by about 6/10 as Small and Redinger continue nose to tail. Coming down the start-finish line straight. Going back up front, Micah Barnett has closed the gap once more to Raymond Aguilar's 72 machine. Aguilar holding on to it by about 7/600ths of a second. Barnett trying the long way around the 72, not quite able to get it locked in yet. Barnett looking for any way through he possibly can as Aguilar drives defensively. Now, every time these guys start duking it out, that's going to give Fitzsimmons a massive chance to keep continuing to break away up front. Fitzsimmons has built the gap up now to about 2.2 seconds over Aguilar and Barnett. As elsewhere on track, this is some of the closest battles we're having right now is between the second and third place drivers, Aguilar and Barnett, a quarter of a second separating them. Jack Mundy, the number 2, comes down pit road for a green flag stop. Apologies for coughing on the air there. So not sure if Mundy's going for an undercut in the number 16 machine. As old Barnett and Aguilar almost touch wheels. As we go on board with Micah Barnett's 59 machine, this is what it looks like on board, chasing down Raymond Aguilar. Hammering the downshifts in these machines, trying whatever he can to catch up. And he's doing a good job keeping Aguilar right within striking distance. Still about 3/10 separating the two. Looks like we do have another battle forming up on track as well, possibly between Beaver and Small back in the 10th place spot. But here we go, Barnett trying the outside line once more, trying to carry a little bit more momentum than Aguilar. Aguilar showing ahead by 1/10 of a second, so not quite working out for Barnett how he planned, but starting to measure up his options as he goes for a high-low maneuver against Aguilar. Not quite able to make it happen once more, but all over the back of that 72 machine. As it looks like Barnett almost taking an off-track excursion, but not going to lose too much time as Aguilar has another big lockup. Now Aguilar currently your points leader. He's about 33 points ahead of Nick Beaver. Jared Ziegler sits third in points with 47 points. After last week though, Finley Fitzsimmons, your current race leader, climbed all the way up to 7th, up 6 positions from where he started. As Fitzsimmons clicks off the fastest lap of the race, we were talking about a 1:31 early on the broadcast, and he makes it so, a 1:31.95 out of your race leader. Qualified on pole, he's going to try his absolute best to lead every lap, and the fuel window is officially open for these drivers. So now if they come down pit road for their one scheduled stop of the race, they should, in theory, be able to run it out till the end, as Barnett has worked his way up into second. So now it's going to be Aguilar having to chase the 59 machine. Aguilar, ooh, I was going to say, not showing a lot of patience, immediately making a move on the 59. As we go a little bit further back, looks like that's going to be Chase Small, Gareth McAllister battling for the 10th place spot. Peter Render sitting about 8/10 behind these two. As you're on board with the Aussie, Gareth McAllister, that's Chase Small right ahead. Very surprised to see how many lockups. And look at this, Micah Barnett sitting in second, clicks off the fastest lap of the race, a 1:31.81, of just about a 10th and a half faster than Fitzsimmons has been able to do here today. So Barnett has the pace, but will he have enough time? A 3.4 second disadvantage to the race leader, Finley Fitzsimmons. It's going to be hard pressed to try and make something happen. Checking back in Barnett, the current fastest car out on track, even though he lags way behind Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons at the top of your screen. And Aguilar sitting about 8/10 behind the 59. Oh no, Micah Barnett has problems. Falling back to, I believe it's going to be 5th as Kevin Burrows works the outside line. Let's see just what happened to 59. He was definitely one of the fastest drivers, fastest cars out on track with that 1:31.81. Let's see exactly where it went wrong for him and how it went wrong. Was it too much curbing, too much brakes? Oh, it's going to be the curbing. Lifts and launches the left side of that car. Sends it careening around. Aguilar wisely checks up and then takes over and inherits the 2nd place spot. And poor Micah Barnett now falling way back to 4th. He regained the spot from Burrows. But all that work showing just how quickly it can become undone here. Speaking of work, checking in on Finley Fitzsimmons, your race leader. 4.7 seconds up over the rest of the field. Fitzsimmons clicking off laps, making it look easy. Not many drivers too terribly close out on track. You've got 3 cars within about 2 seconds of each other. It's Duckwall, Barnett, Burrows running 3rd, 4th, 5th. Duckwall, the 99 machine, holding about a second gap over Micah Barnett, the number 59. I'm a little surprised Barnett hasn't come down pit road to try and cool off those tires a little bit while filling it up. Also surprised we haven't seen too many drivers come down pit road to box with 10 laps left to go. Fuel window officially opened on 13. I would imagine it's going to close around 18 or 19 at the absolute latest for these drivers. And as I say that, Beaver, Small, Kasai, all down pit road. And you got a whole lot of drivers who've been there for a long time. King, Bianchi, Zanave, Sparapani, Peterson, all out early on. Beaver, Kasai, Small roll out after their lap 16 pit stop. And here we go. Micah Barnett wants back up to at least a podium spot, challenging Jake Duckwall. Duckwall trying to defend that inside line. Barnett immediately answers in the left-hander. And looks like Barnett takes over that third place spot, putting Duckwall just behind him. Unfortunately, Duckwall is going to lose 2 positions here. Here comes Kevin Burrows with a quick move out of that number 80 machine. As we all know, it's consistency that wins championships here at League Zero. As your race leader, Finley Fitzsimmons, comes down pit road. Looks like Micah Barnett, Jake Duckwall follows suit. Aguilar and Burrows remain out, so Aguilar will be up front in the clean air for at least a little while here. So when will Aguilar come down pit road? He is not afraid to push it on fuel. We've seen him sputter into his pit box in seasons past. Will Aguilar, the 72 machine, come down pit road this time by Burrows and McAllister? Look to be the 3 drivers total who have yet to come down pit road here. Aguilar looks, yes, he's coming down pit road. Will Burrows follow suit in the number 80 machine? Oh, almost missing it. So that's going to put Fitzsimmons, the 69, back as your race leader. Will McAllister follow suit, also coming down pit road? Yes, he will. That'll give Fitzsimmons the race lead. Where is Aguilar going to rejoin the track surface behind the number 69? Oh, it looks to be about a 4-second advantage to Fitzsimmons. 8 laps left to go. Aguilar has a long way to close if he wants any chance of bringing home the win here. As Fitzsimmons in a very good spot, just has the focusing on hitting his marks, maintaining the tires over the course of this final run, and trying his absolute best to pick up his first feature win here at League Zero. Aguilar not in a bad spot either as the points leader. Being able to finish right behind Fitzsimmons will help to negate the gap that Fitzsimmons needs to close if he wants to get up front in the championship. Fitzsimmons, a late joiner into the season, is only his 3rd time debut at League Zero. But still chasing that first elusive feature event win. He's got 1 sprint race under his belt. As we wait for the lap times to update from both Fitzsimmons and Aguilar. Aguilar's time a little bit skewed since that was his out lap. Aguilar's closed the gap down to about, it was briefly down to 3.9 seconds, closing a little bit underneath that. So he's gaining a little bit of time on Fitzsimmons, but with 7 laps left to go, I don't know if there's going to be enough time for Aguilar. Aguilar already up 3 positions from where he started, didn't have his best qualifying showing. And with how busy this racetrack can be with all 22 drivers, half the battle is just bringing home a clean car by the time it's all said and done. Aguilar still closing the gap now to about 3.7 seconds, 3.8 behind Fitzsimmons. But unless Fitzsimmons has a big bobble here, I think Aguilar is going to really have his work cut out for him. Let's see what the times update to. Last time by Fitzsimmons a 1:32.07, Aguilar a 1:31.99, so gaining just about a tenth per lap and just not going to have enough laps here, I don't think, unless Fitzsimmons makes some sort of mistake. And handing back to a upcoming battle for 4th. Kevin Burrows, Jake Duckwall separated by about 0.8 of a second, 2 of the closest drivers out on track. Looks like Burrows extends the gap now to about 1.1 seconds over Duckwall in the 99. Not a ton of laps left here in the feature event. Checking in on John Kasai. He's about a second back from Chase Small, who runs 9th, and about 2.6 seconds ahead over McAllister running 11th. You've also got Peter Renger running 12th. A very important position that's going to put the Austrian in the top spot for the final sprint race of the night, if he can maintain that track position. Looks like Small having a bit of an off-track excursion. And Micah Barnett having the fastest clean lap of the race, a 1:31.79. Now Aguilar did click off a 1:31.72, but he had an off-track that time by, so it invalidated the lap time. So Micah Barnett definitely has the pace here. Running on paper 0.2 faster than anybody else has been able to run so far at Hockenheimring. 5 laps left to go. Fitzsimmons holding about a 3.1 second gap over Aguilar. Aguilar 5.9 ahead of Micah Barnett. Micah Barnett 6th in points coming into tonight. He had his last and first podium at Road America last week, finishing 3rd after starting 2nd, so only lost 1 position over the course of the run. And we do have a crash out on track. It shows Ricardo Espino having an incident. Let's see what happened. Do the number 70 machine must have grabbed too much brakes and it's sliding around. Thankfully keeps it out of the wall and, most importantly, off of any other cars. And another battle that might shape up. Michael Fairchild suddenly has company from Jared Ziegler, the number 57. Ziegler up 5 positions so far tonight. and looking to make it a 6 as he gets ready to battle for 6th against Fairchild. But that might have been lap traffic yielding the position, knowing there's a battle going on behind him. Ziegler, Fairchild side by side for 6. Ziegler throws it in deep on the inside line. And looks like he's going to walk away with that 6th place spot. Just ahead of the number 88 machine. Now, I wonder if Fairchild has problems. We've seen him starting to drop towards the back here in that 88. Three laps left to go here at Hockenheimring. Fairchild doing his best to stay with the 57 machine of Ziegler. And it looks like Beaver rejoined the fray as well in that 8th place number 10 machine. Closing the gap now to Fairchild. It was 1.3, dropping it down to 9/10. And what could be a 3-car battle for 6 by the time it's all said and done. On board with Nick Beaver's number 10 machine. Love the emojis on either side of the wing there. Big fan. And he's got a great view of the battle unfolding in front of him. Fairchild still taking shots at Ziegler. Not quite able to facilitate that pass as of yet. And any bobble from these two drivers in front of Beaver, and he's going to be able to make a couple spots the easy way here at the tail end of it. As everybody trying to pick up the draft, you can see Chase Small, I believe that's Small behind. Trying to work his way forward. Now we do still have, looks like it's going to be 15 drivers on the lead lap, 17 still out on the circuit. Micah Barnett, though, another fastest lap of the night on 1:31.79. Very, very consistent here late in the run. 2/10, a little bit over a quarter of a second faster than everybody in front of him. But just not going to have enough time here, I don't think. Back to the battle in 6th. It's still very busy. Beaver has linked up to the back of Fairchild's 88 machine. Ziegler about a half second ahead of these two. Wants these guys to battle it out to give him a bit of a break. Beaver, Fairchild, side by side. Beaver up the, it's Fairchild up the inside line. Beaver trying the outside. Just about rubbing wheels there, and they're going to be too wide. Who's going to yield? Neither of them at this point. Beaver sets himself up for an inside line. Sliding up in front of Fairchild. He will facilitate the pass, make it clean. But that has given Jared Ziegler a 1.1 second advantage. And you can guarantee that 57 machine is going to try and walk away and let these two guys battle behind them. Laps rapidly clicking off here. As we check in on Fitzsimmons, right as we do that, we heard a crash. It looks like it's going to be Jack Mundy having issues back in 13th. Fitzsimmons having to cut through traffic. I think that was Levi Opitz. Yes, it was the number 7 machine. Quickly hopping out of the way for the race leader, letting Fitzsimmons by. Fitzsimmons 2.9 seconds ahead of Aguilar. Aguilar has been slowly closing the gap, as well as Micah Barnett back in 3rd, but unfortunately for Barnett, he's 7.6 seconds back from your race leader, Fitzsimmons. Jay Small, Felipe Garcia have some sort of moment. Both drivers showing involved in a crash. Let's see what happened here. Oh, Small just sends it around. Garcia tries to avoid, cutting off to the track left. A little bit of contact, but nothing too fierce, as the white flag is out for Finley Fitzsimmons. Still holding a 3-second margin over Aguilar. Aguilar, 4.7 seconds up over Barnett. Aguilar's been slowly closing the gap to Fitzsimmons, but just not enough laps here in this feature event to fully make it happen. Fitzsimmons passes the halfway mark of the lap. It is the final stretch for the number 69 machine, looking for that first feature event win. And for the final time of the feature event, Fitzsimmons makes his way around the last couple of corners. The checkered flag flies. And Finley Fitzsimmons picks up his first feature event win here at the League Zero Formula 3 Series. Raymond Aguilar finishes second. And Micah Barnett rounds out the top three. We're going to try and get these top three drivers up here into the waiting room as Fitzsimmons burns it down. And what a great race for all of these guys. Nice and clean and no major problems out on track. Still waiting on Fitzsimmons and Aguilar to make their way up into the booth. We've got Fitzsimmons waiting on Aguilar. But we'll go ahead and get things started with Micah Barnett, the number 59 machine. Micah, you got a copy? Are you there, Micah?
I'm here.
There we go. We got Micah Barnett joining us once again in the booth. Back-to-back podiums for this this past week. Gotta feel good, and clicking off some of the fastest laps of the race as well. So you gotta feel pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I mean, I was kind of saving tires at the beginning for a battle that I then spun myself out of, but you know, whatever. Good, really good hard racing with Ray. That was really fun. So hopefully it was enjoyable to watch.
It was an absolute blast from our point of view as well as for the fans. And Mike, it seems like consistency kind of the name of the game here at League Zero. What's it like coming to a regular race weekend, trying to get prepared, get the car dialed in, and try and get used to these basically fixed or fixed-ish setups that everybody's on?
Yeah, it's fun. Almost all the racing I do is GT cars. This is about the only Formula stuff I do, so it's definitely an adjustment, switching back and forth. But you know, it's nice. Everybody's on the same set. We all got the same tools, and it's just whoever used them best that comes out on top. So good job to Finley and Ray both.
Well, awesome. Well said. Micah, who do you want to give a shout-out to that helped make this evening possible for you?
I'd love to give a shout-out to my wife and daughters who are supportive of me pretending to be a race car driver for the better part of a Thursday night. So thank you to them.
Awesome. Micah, good luck out there in the sprint race, and hope to have you back up here.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. That was Micah Barnett bringing home the third place spot. Up next, Raymond Aguilar bringing home a second. Raymond, welcome back to the booth, and seemed like a lot of excitement for just about everybody out there.
Yeah. There's a lot of twisting and weaving and battling, and yeah, it's a good race.
So all in all, was it fun? Did you have fun duking it out with everybody, or did you get a little bit frustrated trying to click off those clean laps and work yourself out of a little bit of a hole?
Yeah, definitely a lot of frustration just trying to maintain the tow and stay within. We lost a good 5 seconds battling for second, which let Finley walk away. But I have a feeling this would have turned out either way. The same scenario. Finley's pretty quick.
Now, you're coming to the sprint race. You and Finley will be working your way through the top 12 drivers. What's the plan for you in that 72 machine? Is it all gas, no brakes? Is it early moves? You're going to play it safe and see if Fitzsimmons maybe finds some trouble?
I think I've got a good start procedure that gets me. I usually do pretty well in starts if you watch, and I think if I can use that to pick up a place and make sure I position the car right, as long as we get through turn 1, I think we're good.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. The sprint race is always a whole lot of action here at League Zero. And Raymond, who do you want to give a quick shout out to that helped to bring home that second place result for you and the team this evening?
My team, Track Limit Racing, Hankook Tires. As an aside, Chick-fil-A was actually pretty darn good today, so I want to thank them. And my cat, Daphne. I wouldn't be able to do without her.
Awesome, Raymond. Congratulations and good luck in the sprint race, my friend.
Yep. Thanks so much, James.
That was Raymond Aguilar bringing home the second. Up next, the man, the myth, the legend, Finley Fitzsimmons, winning your first feature event here tonight, leading just about every lap as the pit cycles work themselves out, and an absolute dominant result for you in the 69 machine.
Yeah, it was a pretty good race. I mean, from start to finish, it was pretty much in control. So I had to make sure I really didn't make any mistakes. That was the big thing. Just being a little bit, more conservative on the brakes, I suppose, making sure you don't lock up. I did make a little bit of a mistake going into turn 2. I'm not sure if you realised, but my car just steered like a boat and it just wouldn't turn. But after that, it was pretty smooth sailing, I think.
Now, Finley, after last week, you qualified pole. You had the lap 1 misfortune. Was that in the back of your head at all tonight, or are you able to block that out going into this race?
Oh yeah, I definitely took about another 25% lift into turn 1 to make sure I didn't spin. I did it in practice and I lost it on the exit curb, so I definitely didn't want to do that. But no, I was definitely thinking about it. It was in the back of my head, but I try not to think about it. I think the nerves going into this race was a little bit calmer, I want to say. I wasn't as tense, so I think I definitely helped in maintaining focus.
Well, it was a great race all the way through, and now for the first time this season, you'll be starting in the 12th place spot with that inverted grid. Are you a little bit apprehensive being thrown back into that mid-pack meat grinder as we get ready to start this sprint?
I'm sure. I know turn 1 can be carnage, and turn 2, a lot of people like to make a dive. Pretty much all the corners on this track just invite people to make dive bomb moves. Just fun. It's great content, but maybe not so great for the drivers on the outside. But he's fun, and that's what I'm looking for here. I'm not here to win money. I'm here to have fun. So let's have it.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it. I know we'll be having fun up here in the booth. And Finley, who do you want to give a shout out to before I let you get back to the holler and get ready for the sprint race?
Team Goon Squad, obviously, for the beautiful broadcasting. Racing for Team Goon Squad as well. Friends, family, as always, and once again, viewers as well. People are watching this. I appreciate you sticking around.
Awesome. Finley, good luck in the sprint race, and we'll be cheering for you.
Thank you, James. Yeah.
That was Finley Fitzsimmons bringing home his first win, first feature event win of the season. He did win the sprint last week, so maybe we can see the young Brit driver try it back-to-back. We're going to run a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the final sprint race of the evening. Welcome back, race fans. The final sprint race of the evening as we get them gridded up. An inverted top 12 grid guaranteed to be action-packed as Rettinger starts up top. McAllister starting second. Small third. Kasai fourth. Michael Fairchild starting fifth. Nick Beaver starting sixth. Garrett Ziegler starts seventh. Jake Duckwall starting eighth. Kevin Burrows starting ninth. Micah Barnett starts 10th. Raymond Aguilar starting 11th. And Finley Fitzsimmons, the feature event winner, has to start way back in the 12th place spot. The sprint race is here, known to be action-packed. These drivers have half the laps, no scheduled pit stops. And here we go for the final time tonight here at the Hockenheim Ring. And already somebody getting sent to the Shadow Realm. Jared Ziegler off track, Michael Fairchild, Norman King all tied up in that. So their race will be quite short-lived. Small holds onto it up front, and it's a meat grinder further back. As it looks like that was Micah Barnett. Oh, locking up the brakes, around he goes, just ever so slightly tapping the inside wall. And it is absolutely frantic here. Aguilar has already worked his way up to 7th. Fitzsimmons working his way up right behind Aguilar, now in 8th. This is where the fast drivers have to be careful as we go 3, almost 4 wide there. You've got to be aggressive, but you've also got to make it till the end. As that's Mundy and Fitzsimmons going side by side, 2 longtime friends. Ooh, Mundy locking up the brakes. He does not have it. Fitzsimmons goes off track to avoid. Chase Small also has his own share of problems. And I don't think I've seen a sprint race this frantic since Long Beach, almost 2 seasons ago. Who was that? That was Mundy going for a ride. Locks it up. Doesn't look like anybody else is going to get tied up in that one. Jake Duckwall in 5th has Aguilar, Burrows, Fitzsimmons right behind. Your race leader, Peter Redger, has about a second margin over Beaver. Beaver 2 seconds up from John Kasai, who just made a move on Gareth McAllister. What an action-packed evening. Burrows and Fitzsimmons going at in the battle for 7th. Just behind Aguilar and Duckwall. Jared Ziegler limps it into pit road under his own power. And here comes Aguilar trying to make a move up alongside Duckwall. Not quite able to make it happen. As I think, is Aguilar going to be able to make a move up into the right-hander? Looks like Duckwall has about half a car length over the 72. And Aguilar looks to make the pass up into 5th. We heard carnage. I think it was Opitz. I think Garcia's involved in that one, as well as Felipe Garcia. Now, we've been known to sacrifice a little bit of body work here in the sprint races. Drivers only have 13 laps to click off all the lap times. As Aguilar, Duckwall, Fitzsimmons linked up trying to catch up to McAllister. Up front, Rettinger, Beaver battling for the race lead. Aguilar and McAllister going side by side. Beaver takes over the first place spot. He's up 5 spots. Chase Small, Sparapani involved in some sort of incident, dropping down the standings. Oh, a big crash. I think Micah Barnett also tied up in that one. Drivers not really knowing where to go. Beaver has taken over the race lead from Redinger. He's got the fastest lap so far of the race on 133.15. Small and Sparapani both taking toes back to pit road, having to put in the virtual hauler just a little bit earlier than they wanted. Kasai, no, it's Aguilar, clicks off on 132.02, but it's a dirty lap, has it off track. Redinger doing a fantastic job staying right there with Beaver in the 40, Redinger in the 44, Beaver in the number 10. You can see John Kasai currently sitting in podium contention. He's about 2 seconds ahead of Raymond Aguilar. Oh, we've got a pile up here. Looks like that's going to be Mundy. Barnett, Espino, all off track. Let's see, I thought it maybe started with Espino. Yeah, and poor Barnett and Mundy. Nowhere to go, just plowing to the back of the number 70 machine. Can't park there. Pan the camera back to 5th. It's Fitzsimmons, Duckwall, McAllister, Burrows in a nice tidy pack. Mundy has towed back to pit road. He is done and out. Beaver with another fastest lap of the race. He got down to 133.02. Let's see what it updates to this time by as he continues to get faster. And most importantly, Beaver has clean air in front of him. Also has a battle for third place going on. John Kasai, the propane man, trying to fend off Raymond Aguilar. Aguilar quickly works the inside line against Kasai, taking over that third place spot. It's way back in the pack. It's Scott Cummins with a 132.81, has the fastest lap of the race. Cummins currently 9th, up 7 positions. Now, I'm not quite sure what the factor is to bring out a safety car. I believe it's a certain percentage of the field has to be tied up in that incident for the safety car to come out. But whatever that threshold is, I guess we haven't hit it here. We got pretty close, and Kasai fighting very, very intently with Aguilar for that third place spot. Aguilar trying to work the inside line. He takes over third once more, but Kasai showing he's got the passion, he's got the drive, and he wants that podium this season. Now Kasai's going to have his hands full with Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons throws it up the inside line against that number 3 machine. Fitzsimmons works his way up into 4th. He's about 8/10 back from Raymond Aguilar. Definitely his main point of competition. Fitzsimmons, the fastest lap of the race, a 132.05 clean out of the number 69 machine. And now we're watching to see, can he close that gap to Aguilar? It shows Fitzsimmons 1.5 seconds faster than number 72 that last time by, but that could very well be a little bit of luck on how these drivers come into traffic and have to work themselves through. Just about at the we're going to call it the halfway mark of the final sprint race of the evening. Your race leader, Nick Beaver, a 2-second advantage over Redinger. Redinger 1.25 seconds up over Aguilar. And Aguilar knows Fitzsimmons right behind him. These drivers finished 1 and 2 in the feature event. And I think everybody here wants to see these guys go wheel to wheel. Aguilar may get hung up behind Rettinger's 44 machine. And that could allow Fitzsimmons to close that gap rather quickly. Interesting, Aguilar hops out of the draft of Rettinger. I'm a little surprised to see that. Aguilar works the inside line of Rettinger. Ooh, has to really check up there to avoid pushing wide into the all-black 44. And that's allowing Fitzsimmons to really close the gap. Every time these guys go too wide, punches a big old hole through the air. Three wide here at Hockenheim Ring. Fitzsimmons in the middle as Aguilar on the inside line. Oh, as Rettinger watches from behind, a little bit of contact there between Aguilar and Fitzsimmons. As we're on board Rettinger, who has the best seat in the house. Watching the battle now for second. Now Aguilar and Fitzsimmons 4 seconds back from Beaver's number 10 machine. If these guys keep battling out, there's just not enough time for them to close that gap, as Beaver's been very, very quick. Now Beaver started the season off wrong with a win. The opening round, that was way back June 23rd. And just last week he had a second. He's very consistently up inside the top 5. But Beaver, Aguilar, Fitzsimmons, your top 3 out on track. I would wager a guess that this championship could very well come down to these 3 drivers, depending on consistency. Rettinger still tucked in behind Aguilar and Fitzsimmons, but now he's going to have pressure with John Kasai's number 3 machine. Rettinger and Kasai go side by side at the same time Fitzsimmons and Aguilar do. Possibly a little bit more contact between Aguilar and Fitzsimmons. Neither driver yielding an inch here. Aguilar holding on to the second place spot. Kasai still holding on to 4th, fending off Rettinger. Rettinger now finds himself in a battle with Jake Duckwall. Duckwall moves up to 5th. As Rettinger had an off-track excursion there, unfortunately he's going to drop down the standings, now showing in 9th. 4 laps left to go here. And Nick Beaver might be in a good spot to just check out. 4.6 seconds ahead of Aguilar and Fitzsimmons. Got out front quickly, hasn't had to face as much traffic, and enjoying that clean air, just focusing on hitting his marks and having a great solo race up front. Here we go once more, Fitzsimmons and Aguilar. Fitzsimmons comes out on top this time, up 10 positions, but count on Aguilar to fire back as quickly as he can, as now John Kasai has closed the gap in 4th. And all the while, these guys giving even more and more time to your race leader. Nick Beaver looking to check out here, 4.5 seconds up, as all the party seems to be congregating around this second place spot. Fitzsimmons a half second up over Aguilar. Very impressed with John Kasai as well. Started off 4th in this sprint race and remains in that spot. Will we be able to see Aguilar fire a shot at Fitzsimmons? Catching the draft, takes a peek to the inside line, doesn't quite commit. Aguilar may have finally found a competitor that's willing to throw those risky lunges, just as we've seen out of the 72 machine countless times in sprint races. When I say risky, I mean from my point of view, these drivers generally have it well under control when they make these big lunges. Aguilar might be sizing up Fitzsimmons to wait because they have rapidly closed the gap now to Nick Beaver. They're about 3.75. Beaver has lost a second and counting to the drivers behind him. Still showing 16 drivers on the lead lap. 5 have put it back in the virtual hauler early on. And Fitzsimmons, another fastest lap of the race on 131.88. Gaining 9/10 of a second on your race leader, Nick Beaver. But with 2 laps left to go, Fitzsimmons and Aguilar are hoping for a miracle that will allow them to pull themselves back to that number 10 machine, sitting proudly out front. Showing Antonio Bianchi involved in an incident. Let's see what happened to the number 17 machine. Just too much brakes, and around she goes. Fitzsimmons still second. It's closed the gap to 3.1 to Nick Beaver. Two laps left to go. Fitzsimmons had a 131.99 that last time by. Gaining just about a half second on Beaver. The gap's closed to 2.8 seconds. Aguilar still 8/10 behind the second place 69 machine. As we check in on race leader Nick Beaver, having a dominant run here in that number 10 machine. As we get ready to unfurl the white flag for the white and red number 10. Beaver, when he's not having a bad race, he's having an absolute fantastic race. And may be able to gain some points on Aguilar. Again, coming into tonight, Aguilar was 33 points ahead of Beaver, who still sits second in the points, but I think anything can happen here. Both drivers scored some great points in that feature event. White flag is out for Nick Beaver. The sprint race here at the League Zero Formula Series, always bringing the excitement. Beaver 2.3 seconds up over Fitzsimmons. Fitzsimmons has the pace, but I don't think he has the time. Spent too much of this race battling with traffic. as your top 10 drivers fairly spread out at this point. A lot of drivers back in the virtual hauler due to a little bit of combination of attrition and trackside shenanigans. Half a lap left to go for Beaver. Fitzsimmons has been closing the gap, but just not quickly enough. A half-second a lap gain for Fitzsimmons is normally a massive amount, but when you find yourself 4 or 5 seconds back in only a 13-lap race, just not a lot of time to capitalize and overcome on any sort of mistakes. And for the final time, Nick Beaver makes his way around, picking up the win here at Hockenheim. A fantastic sprint race win. Finley Fitzsimmons brings home second, and Raymond Aguilar will round out the top 3. And time for a little burnout shenanigans from Nick Beaver. Well deserved, a great win there for the number 10. And that will be his second win of the season. As it looks like we've got everybody here. Starting the podium interviews, it's going to be Raymond Aguilar, the 72 machine. Raymond, seemed like both you and Fitzsimmons had the pace, but a lot of traffic out there tonight, a lot of crash avoidance, it looked like.
Yeah, tonight was the same story over and over. It's like getting in battles for third and fifth and things like that just makes you lose too much time on the leaders, and just tried to tuck it into third and kind of bring it home without crashing. It was a little slicker on the second race.
Yeah, seemed like a good points night all in all for you, extending the gap, I believe, over Beaver, and I believe, I think it was Ziegler who's currently third in points. Yes, that's correct, but now you've got guys such as Fitzsimmons gaining some ground, so it's looking like it could be 3 or 4 of you guys having a pretty tight points championship if we continue the way we do.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping we can keep the competition level high and keep these podiums coming in. I got a new routine in terms of like what I listened to prior to the race and things like that. So I think I'm gonna go back to the old one now because I didn't have as good of a showing tonight.
Well, what was the new playlist compared to the old one that's getting you hyped up for these events?
So it started off with some modern rap music, and then it morphed into Taylor Swift, and I think that really just killed the mood. As much as I love Taylor Swift, it just killed the whole race for me.
Yeah, that's the wrong way. You can't go from gangster rap to breakup songs and expect to win a race. So glad to see you learning on and off the track, and always great having you up here. Very, very consistent, and we know how important that can lend itself to be here at League Zero. And Raymond, for the final time tonight, who you want to give a shout out to that helped you bring home a podium?
My team, Track Limit Racing, my family, they got me through all this stuff this week. I had no practice, so it got me into this. They got me home in time to do this. And Team Goon Squad for doing a good broadcast, even though we are never getting back together, James.
T-Swift. Yeah, I like the
There
GOAT
you go.
remix as well. Aguilar, great time as always, man. Good job, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Yep. Thanks, James.
Thank you, sir. That was Raymond Aguilar bringing home a third. Up next, Finley Fitzsimmons, a hard-fought second, up 10 positions, and a great points night, starting to really crawl up the standings as this goes on.
Yeah, I mean, it's good points. Not quite the win, but it was a great drive from Nick. He deserved it. And I think we definitely maximised the amount of points we could get from that race from anything I could do on my end.
Now, we saw a lot of battles across the track, be it for 5th, 4th, all the way up to 2nd, you and Aguilar. Do you think if those battles hindered your advances through the field, do you think you could have caught up to Beaver?
I think I was gaining about 0.5 a lap up until that final lap. So I think it is a close one. You don't quite know. but maybe if I got through the field a little bit quicker, I may have had a chance coming into the last lap. But it would have been very close, and I think, I did the best I could. I couldn't do much more than that, really.
Well, Finley, this is your first time starting way back in 12th, that inverted grid. We know that you started about mid-pack last week when you won your sprint race. So is that going to change your game plan going to these sprint races, or is it just kind of a learn and adapt as you go?
I think it's more being in the right place at the right time, because there's a lot of incidents that happen. There was a lot of slowing down, almost like stopping on the track. So really, it's just being in the right place to not really be involved in that. But, sprint races are always crazy, especially when you're starting in the mid-pack. So really on lap 1, you're focused on keeping the car clean, not getting involved in any incidents, and then taking the rest of the race from there after lap 2.
Well, Finley, a great run tonight, bringing home a first and a second, a great run all the way around. Again, like we said, some great points, and looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season holds for you. For the last time tonight, who do you want to give a shout to that helped you bring home this hard-fought second?
Just before, Team Goon Squad, great broadcast and racing for their team as well. Gareth as well for being a brilliant teammate, as always. The world famous Australian. Of course, family, as always. I'm not sure they don't watch anything that I do. They don't really care, but it's fine.
Well, it's pretty late there, so no fault of their own.
Yeah.
Awesome. Finney, great job out there, my friend. We'll hope to see you back up here next week, and looking forward to more action from you in the 69 machine.
You too, James. See you next time.
Thank you, sir. That was Finley Fitzsimmons bringing home second. But up next, Nick Beaver, second win of the season. Well done to you in that number 10 machine. Looks like it was relatively smooth sailing once you got through traffic.
Yeah, that's the way I like it. I knew the race wasn't over at that point. Raymond and Finley were definitely coming, but I was lucky enough to get the lead early and grow a gap. Kind of throw some of those cars I passed in front of the faster car. So I don't know, whatever. It was fun. It was a good race. I'm glad to get the win again.
Yeah, second one. I mean, that's a big one, and you've been extremely consistent, just about always inside the top 5, if not on the podium. We'll ignore that one little incident at Road America, but consistency is what brings home championship. Able to gain just a little bit of points on Aguilar after this sprint race. So how are you feeling for the rest of the season with how tight it looks like it's going to be in a points battle?
Well, luckily, I don't keep an eye too close on points, which one keeps it more fun, two kind of reduces the stress about it. I know that points are on the line, and I'm excited to see how it ends up, but I just go into these races and do the best I can, try to keep the nose clean. And for the most part, I was able to do that tonight. There was a little incident in the first race, but drove back from that into the invert, and that worked in my favor.
And now, Nick, what's the story of the emojis on the left and right-hand side of your car? We see it every time we go on the onboard or the Halo cam. How did those come about? What's the background story on them?
Yeah, well, they're my two favorite emojis. I like the idea of laughing so hard you're crying, and I don't know, he's kind of angry too. I think that's hilarious. And then the thonk, I don't know, I just love a misillustrated emoji, I guess. And so in Discord, I use them very frequently, very, very frequently. So I decided to put them on my car. And in fact, when I paint cars, I try to put those two in kind of hidden places where they're not always seen. But when you see them, it's kind of an Easter egg. So that is why I put them on there. I think it's hilarious. I'm probably the only one. Yes, I'm probably the only one. But I do think it's fun to have on the car.
We definitely notice it and appreciate it up here in the booth, and we're a big fan of Easter eggs. Nick, a great race, the second win of the season. We won't worry about points. We'll let you know at the end of the season if you did good or not. Until then, just keep rocking and rolling, my friend. And you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-off of the evening. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped you bring home the win in that number 10 machine?
Two boys with me, Andrew and Alex Jensen. Thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. I don't think they're watching, but next time I'll make them watch. How about that?
Attaboy. Nick, thank you so much, man. Wishing you the best of luck, and always a great time talking to you up here in the booth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. That was Nick Beaver bringing home the win in the final sprint race of the night. Up 5 spots, Finley Fitzsimmons gained 10 positions, finishing second, and Raymond Aguilar round out the top 3, gaining 8 spots over the course of the race. Another great race, great action, and a whole lot of friends having a whole lot of fun here at League Zero, the racing series, the premier Formula 3 iRacing League. As always, on behalf of LeagueZero.net, as well as Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, my name's been James East. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I look forward to having you back in the next one. Have a great night, everybody.